I'm Tia Hopkins, super excited to be chatting about hybrid cloud today. And I really love this title, The Great Balancing Act, because a balancing act when it comes to hybrid cloud, it really is what it is, because there's no magic formula for when you should move to the cloud or how far left you should shift in the cloud or what workloads you should move to the cloud. It all comes down to the needs of your business, essentially, and how far down the path of digital transformation you want to go, things of that nature. So we're going to chat about the security implications of cloud, some top threats, things to think about. We'll get into the operational aspects of it later in the presentation, so I'll just jump right in here. So I wanted to start out talking about some of the top reasons businesses even migrate to the cloud. And there's a lot of reasons on the slide here, but essentially, I mean, at the crux of it, moving workloads, resources, et cetera, to the cloud becomes a business enabler. It allows you to leverage the resources that you need instead of over investing so that you have things when you need them. It allows you to scale for flexibility, all things we're all really familiar with. It also enables you to rapidly adopt technology or fail fast, right? You're not over investing in things to see if something will work or to see if it's the right thing, and then wasting investment when you need to pivot tactics or strategy or things like that. The cloud really enables us to be more flexible, more agile, rapidly adopt technology and things like that. So it has great benefits, obviously, moving to the cloud. I think we're all familiar with that. I mean, I think we think back to the beginning of the pandemic and we were figuring out, well, how are we going to have users working from everywhere? You know, I think that the most top of mind thing for most businesses was, well, we're going to have to put everything in the cloud. And a lot of business may not have been ready for that. So like I said, a lot of benefits to the cloud, but as we all know, with great power comes great responsibility. So now I'm going to get into some of the challenges with migrating to cloud, being in a hybrid cloud environment as it relates to security. So I'm going to start with evolving threats. This isn't much different from a fully on-prem environment or a hybrid or fully cloud environment, but the threat landscape is evolving quickly. And part of the reason for that is that the adversaries are leveraging advanced technologies as well. So the second that we get a new technology, I mean, you think about AI, for example, the second we get something new, the adversary has it as well. And attackers are looking to grow and scale and be flexible just like we are. So the faster we move, the faster threats move. And obviously, even though cloud is enabling our businesses, it's also enabling the businesses of the adversary. So, you know, like I said, threats will continue to evolve and this will continue to be a challenge. Moving on to talent availability, I'm sure we're all familiar with the cybersecurity skills gap. This doesn't change just because it's specific to cloud. You know, I've had several conversations with organizations where one day, you know, you've got someone that's specifically focused on developing applications in the cloud, and suddenly they feel like they have to become a security expert because there's all these things that they need to be worried about when it comes to, coding securely or being concerned about who has access to what application, or not even users, just different resources within the way the application is built. Having access. So identity is a major concern as well. Moving on to configuration risks, I'm going to foreshadow a bit here, but there was a survey that indicated that the top threat that was discovered in cloud was misconfiguration. So, you know, cloud is broad, especially if you've got multiple cloud environments and you've got a hybrid environment and you're integrating those. There is a lot of risk for configuration errors that leave gaps in your environment, especially moving from one environment to another. Moving on to compliance. Now, obviously, moving things into the cloud broadens the attack surface, but your compliance requirements don't go away. So whether it's regulatory compliance that your organization needs to follow, or you just have pressure from your customers to ensure that their data is safe, or that the applications that they're using, that you're providing them with, are available, whatever you're on the hook to comply with, hybrid cloud environments do complicate that because, again, you're in multiple environments. There's, risk of configuration errors that open up gaps, et cetera, that could result in having a negative impact on the environment. Next up, unfortunately, security on-prem doesn't extend to cloud. This is this is painful sometimes because I'll have conversations with organizations that are fully on-prem and they're looking to move into the cloud, and they're thinking about what we refer to as a lift and shift, where they just kind of want to unseat what they've got in their data centers and make it show up the same way in the cloud. And you can do that to a degree, but it is still a different environment. So you do have to evolve the way you're thinking about the threats that could come against the environment, because you're not just within the four walls of your organization anymore, behind the technologies that you've configured based on the risk assessment that you've done for your on-prem environment. So you will need to, do another risk assessment moving into the cloud, assess the criticality of the workloads that you're putting in the cloud, because the reality is it might make more sense to keep some of those workloads on-prem. So point here being, it's important to understand how you've secured your on-prem environment when extending it to the cloud or completely moving it to the cloud. But you also have to understand the implications of moving into the cloud and consider what additional controls, processes, policies, et cetera, that you may need to implement. Limited visibility. This is a tough one because, especially in public cloud, again, lots of conversations, and I hear things like, yeah, we've got 2 accounts in, choose your flavor of public cloud, and then an assessment is run, and it turns out that there's multiple accounts and multiple public cloud environments. And then when you bring shadow IT into the picture, how can you possibly feel like you have your arms around everything that's going on in the environment? So limited visibility is really a challenge for organizations trying to secure their environments, because you can't secure what you can't see. If you can't see it, you don't know what it is that you need to protect. And again, that opens up gaps that could potentially lead to disaster in the environment. So having the right level of visibility into the environment is critically important to properly securing a hybrid environment.